It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
We on a mission and that's bringing y'all the truth. You know the problem, but we get into the root. The devil watching, yeah, he always on pursuit. But Jesus is our rock, so we shall not be moved. We on a winning team, so we can't lose. We say facts, cause we hitting y'all with proof. Started from the bottom, now we standing on the roof. As God as our witness, we gon' make it to the moon. When you want the truth, the world be hiding it. This the real word, we providing it. We got Acee, BK, Truth, Rick Star, and we plan to make a movie like it's Pixar. We came a long way from the plantation. We just tryna save your souls from damnation. So if you down with the message, tune in every week. It will lead you to the message that you seek.
It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word. It's the real word.
And we're good to go.
Shout out to everybody for watching. Welcome you to the Real Word Season 5 episode 23 like Jordan, you already know. So shout out to everybody that's been watching, shout out to everybody that's been supporting.
I gotta get updated.
Shout out to everybody that's helped us to get this far so far. Shout out to everybody that's subscribed to us on Instagram. That's the Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. The Real Word Ministries Inc. on Instagram. Check out our YouTube at the Real Word TV. One word. That's the Real Word TV on YouTube. On Facebook, we're at the Real Word 7 on Facebook. That's the Real Word number 7, like Mike Vick on Facebook. And also check us on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts at the Real Word Podcast. That's the Real Word Podcast. And also check us out on the Brick Network every Tuesday and Thursday at 1, 4, and 12. So shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Also, big news. We're gonna have a Feed the Homeless Saturday, August 22nd at 4 p.m. in the South Bronx. We're giving away food to homeless people. You guys seen what we did in Harlem on 125th and Lexington, where we fed over 200 people. Shout out to everybody that donates. So if you want to donate, you could donate at the Real Word Inc. Cashapp. The Cashapp is $ the Real Word Inc. Or you could donate at GoFundMe. The Real Word Ministries on GoFundMe. We're verified on GoFundMe as a 501c3. So that's the Real Word Ministries on GoFundMe.com and the Real Word Ministries on PayPal. Or you can go to our official website at www.therealwordministriesinc.org. That's www.therealwordministriesinc.org. Shout out to my two co-hosts in the building. Introduce yourself, gentlemen.
It's the one and only.
I can't.
Acee Irving in the building. Add me on Instagram. Acee Irving 11. No 11 ain't me.
It ain't him, man.
It's only one.
It's only one. 211, 1-1.
2 E's. It's
BK,
that special.
Oh, you gotta tell them 2 E's too now?
Yeah, bro.
Gotta update it. But it's BK.Truth, I'm everywhere in Brooklyn. Shout out to Brooklyn. It's Kimmel. Favorite neighborhood, Brooklyn night.
Yeah. And we got two special new guests coming on the show today. Introduce yourself, brother.
Peace and blessings, y'all. This is Rashaan Brown. You can follow me on Instagram at Tank Tarantino Forever. That's the number 4 EVA. And Facebook is Rashaan Brown. But I'm just here to offer insight into everything that's going on. Today makes an anniversary for me. Today will make 2 years that I've been home after doing 17 years in prison. So that's a blessing. My birthday is in 9 days. So I'm living the life I love, loving the life I live.
I got questions.
Shout out to my other guests. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hey there, my name is Ehlig, and just happy to be here on the show. I don't really do Instagram too much, but you can always find me on Facebook as just Ehlig on Facebook. Just happy to be here. God bless you all, and I'm excited to be here.
All right.
Shout out. So let's dive right into it. My brother said he did 17 years in jail, and that's a big topic right now. Prison reform. Yeah. One of the classes I'm currently taking in my graduate school is policy. Policy is getting people together to create laws, rules, and regulations that governs people's lives together. Usually people come together, and sometimes it depends on who the people are. They call them stakeholders. These stakeholders could be any people, from people in the community to people in the government. They come together to push an initiative and they advocate for it until that policy becomes law. So you did 17 years. Can you explain why, if you don't mind?
Brothers. Yeah, I did 17 years. When I was 21, I went to a party with, a couple friends of mine, and
The wrong group?
it was yeah, you could say, you know, the wrong individual, because there's certain traits that we might see in our friends, certain strengths and certain weaknesses, but sometimes, you know, unless we got that insight, we not gonna pay attention to that weakness, because we like, all right, it's not gonna affect us, but at that particular time it affected me, because he had issues against women, and, you know, he you know, he was at the party,
you know, they don't play with that.
Her friend came to her aid around, you know, her area, and you know, he put hands on the dude, on my friend, and you know, it was a situation where my friend was getting beat up, violated, or whatever. He's in the area, so you know, I came to my friend aid, and you know, individual was stabbed one time. God bless him and his family. You know, my condolences. You know, that happened at a younger age when I was more reactionary than a thinker, and after, you know, I was given a 19-year sentence. I went to trial.
Right.
And
I like how you put that. That is how it is when you're young. You kind of just move with the motion, you know. You kind of just following the path that's around you. You know, you don't really put much thought into your decision making that much.
Yeah, I didn't. And then it was, you know, liquor involved, Hennessy. The Hennessy was a crime. I was, you know, at that age, you know, drinking a gallon of Hennessy nonstop and just
that was a highlight.
I was like, so you know. It wasn't a thought out decision on my behalf.
About that dark liquor.
Me reacting.
That's true.
And you know, blind loyalty sometimes. Sometimes blind loyalty leads you to despair. And you know, I was in despair for.
I have a situation like that right now. Blind loyalty, family member. Man, I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Yeah, those could be the ones.
Put you in some trouble. So I know blind loyalty is rough.
So let's stay around that, because there's a lot of talks around prison reform going on, especially in the United States. The United States, even though they're one of the smallest countries, they have the most populated prisons in the world. And unfortunately, I believe 40 to 50% of the people incarcerated are Black and Latino individuals, even though we make, I believe, 35 or 40% of the population in America. What do you guys think about that? Why is that?
Well, I think they like to trigger certain. I feel like they just like to trigger certain group of individuals because they feel like we are weak, and I do agree that we are weak because we always fight amongst each other and not helping to build each other as a strong community. We're always looking to be great as thyself, not as a group.
I gotta say, it's the media. You know, we all know America is built on, you know, there's gotta be a bottom. And I feel like the media, the television is kind of used to program to create the bottom. And it's like whatever culture is used to watching TV is gonna be the culture that's, you know, stuck in the mud in a sense. I feel especially, you know, I like to take from other cultures. The Jewish people, you know, they stay away from the media. You know, they stay away from watching TV.
You don't see
so
them on
much.
TV.
Yeah, they try to stay out of that.
They sign you to do all that for them.
Today, there was a guy. Well, I'm not even going to talk about what he's doing, but in the sense of he tried to give me a tip. He was in a sense of an African Jew, and he was saying that, yeah, man. I just do, in our culture, you know, we just go after insurance company. We don't try to take from nobody's pockets. We don't mind nobody's business. We just go into where the money is. So he's like, you know, suing the city repeatedly. That's how he gets his money. He don't try to work. He's just he's just out there going after insurance companies because he's like, they have money for no reason.
Yeah.
Everyone else, you know, have money to feed their family. They just holding money.
Yeah.
So.
That's one of the biggest things why a lot of people are mad at Jeff Bezos right now. The guy that owns Amazon, they said that he's harboring wealth, like he's holding all the money to himself.
And what is he doing with it? Like, I don't
keeping it.
I guess, I mean,
they said that
supposed to look at nobody else's pockets, but
they said recently,
that's a lot of money.
Recently he sold $3 billion worth of stocks so he could get liquid cash, but no one knows why he's doing it for. You remember earlier in the year, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was 5 or 6 CEOs of major companies, they all resigned prior to COVID happening, and people
yeah,
was
I
like,
know.
why did they do that?
I mean, I'm even watching movies
yeah, that
go out of
happened?
business. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of local places are going out of business right now.
What's your thoughts on prison reform?
It's a tricky subject. I mean, I definitely think that a lot of it also has to do with, a lot of people have been talking about it since the tragedy of Mr. George Floyd and the protests that have been happening for a number of months now. And, it's just, America's founded on a lot of systemic racism, sadly. And history is always going to come back to haunt you unless you really fix the issue. And so until racism, especially on a systemic level, is really fixed, not just in the prison system, but in the medical system, in our justice system, in our courts of law, and in many other systems in our country, and until that deeper issue is really resolved, which obviously that's not something that happens overnight, right? It takes a lot of work.
It'll take a lot more.
And it takes a lot more, obviously.
Like I said, we're making progress. I think we're making progress.
Slow progress is better than no progress at all, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I
Taking
don't understand
them baby
the.
steps.
I mean, at the end of the day, we kind of just gotta remember. I really feel it's the media that divides us. Like I feel like before the media, I didn't really think about colors or anything like that. It was just people is people.
Yeah.
And when the media gets involved, they start giving you an idea of people that's not even real. So
Even of prison, because a lot of
They push hate.
people they only know prison from what they see on TV,
Television, yeah.
and they show the negative aspects of it. But I'm sure like there's bonds that are made. You told me you went to college while there.
That's
And-
really good.
Yeah, I went to college and while in prison,
That's powerful.
and it actually took me 4 different years to get into the college that I was in because it was a strenuous process where everybody in the prison population probably was like 1,200 people, 1,200 men, and each year the college would hold an initiation or an enrollment.
A certain number of people.
Yeah, we would have to go into either the school building or the mess hall on a designated day, and we would have to write an essay based off of 3 different essay prompts. It might have been a quote by Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, or Aristotle, Socrates.
Wow.
And I did that 4 different years because once you do the essay, out of the let's say 200, 300 people that applied, they'll call about 40 to an interview process, a face-to-face interview process, where people designated from the college will interview you. And out of that 40, only 15 would get into the college for that year.
Oh, wow.
So I never gave up. I continued to do it. The last time I tried was the time before the last time I tried. The doctor said I was in the hospital, fighting. I wasn't fighting cancer, but I was allergic to a certain food. But I didn't know I was allergic to that food, milk and shellfish. But the doctors thought I had cancer, so they had me in isolation or whatever. And during that time, that was the time I learned that I didn't get accepted into the college. So that was kind of like I was going through it. Yeah, 'cause I was in isolation, like similar to what the people going through now. Nobody want to put themselves in quarantine or isolation, but I was forced to do it, and it was locked up.
Issue,
Yeah, and then I found out that. So just imagine the people right now that's getting bad news, that's afraid to be around people during
And then
this
they
time.
gotta be by themselves.
Nobody gonna purposely do that. So they gotta commit probably things that are detrimental to themselves and make the wrong decisions. That's why people need a lot of support at this time right now.
That's
A lot of people scared to be
That's that's a very good segue. Where you talking about isolation, and you also compare that to quarantine. Now we could dive deeper into it, and we could talk about solitary confinement.
I was in a box for a long time.
For those that don't know, they call solitary confinement the box. That's what prisoners call it, and that affects your psyche in a way, right?
Yeah,
It
that
affects
affects my psyche.
It could also
Tremendously, it could affect your psyche.
it could also bring psychosis in a way, where you start hearing
That's a
voices
fact.
and seeing things.
Yeah.
And a lot of the older population that went into quarantine during the COVID, a lot of them were dying because people was leaving them alone. Like
Sure.
my grandmother personally, she was in a nursing home. She was 90 years old, and my mother couldn't see her for almost 3 months. And during that time,
And those visits keep them,
of course,
man.
of course. And my grandmother, she suffers from glaucoma, so she was blind. So imagine being old, being blind. You can't see your child, the one that cares for you,
You can't hear
and
them.
that you can't see him every day. You're gonna die from a broken heart. And people die from broken. And literally, she died from a broken heart, cardiac arrest. Her heart stopped.
Yeah, that's what's killed me.
And they left her there for a while because all the people were scared of COVID, and so she literally died. And they found out later that she died. You know? So, what do you guys think about that?
My fiance lost
I feel like that's
a
disrespect.
great grandfather in the sense of he was 104, and it's weird, you know, that it happened during COVID, during that same time, in the sense of we visited him probably 2 months before, and honestly, from just eyesight, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but from eyesight, it looked like everything was okay, you know. He's just was resting, you know, like as old people do, you know, not much they could really do. But it was like, boom, as soon as COVID hit, I think it was like within weeks, it was like he passed away, and it was like, really? Wow. Then we had to have the funeral where, you know, everyone's wearing masks, and oh, you know, normally you hug and everything. People's like, I don't know if I should hug.
Nobody want to touch you.
And I'm like, this is a perfect example of, you know, when you're together with people, you're stronger.
Exactly.
But they want to divide us.
The energy. And one of the things that they attack the most, that a lot of people not talking about, is places of worship. Even in California, they don't want people singing in church.
Singing,
yeah, because they said that if people sing, then I guess particles gonna come out their mouth like spit, and they could
bro.
go
They
in
had
there.
MTV shows. They got award shows. BET. They were performing like what they.
I don't know.
The NBA finals happening.
The NBA finals. They playing basketball. Like they stand on each other all day. Like
They let the Super Bowl pass, and COVID was here during those times as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, what's your thoughts on solitary confinement? Because even during quarantine, some people were solitary confined to their homes. Some people did not leave their homes for months during COVID. Now the guy from our church, he said he didn't leave his house for 2 months.
Yeah, and he didn't. And that's weird, because how did he catch COVID?
He didn't catch COVID. I'm talking about the young guy. I don't want to say his name.
Oh,
But the guy that didn't want to leave his house for 2 months, 2.5 months.
Now I know who you're talking about. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a crazy situation right there.
So what do you guys think about that?
Solitary confinement. Not. It depends. You was gonna say.
No, I'm definitely just being alone for a long time can really kind of drive you bonkers. Whether it's you know, in a box in a cell, or whether it's in your house, just like all to yourself. You know, human beings, we need that physical human contact. We got to be around other people.
Sure.
Because you know, some people have that rare gift where they can just be a hermit, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Some people don't got that gift.
some people are like that. They're like, they can go a whole year without seeing anyone and they're happy about it. But that's like that's like maybe what, 1 in 50 million or something. It's like very rare.
Yeah.
Most of us, we feed off of the energy of community, of our family, of friends and loved ones, even just strangers, even just striking up a nice conversation with someone you don't even know.
I like hearing new stories. I was gonna ask also, what do you do, man? I didn't feel like we got into it too.
Before we get into that, let's just ask our brother here one more question, and then we dive into that. You actually being an individual that was in solitary confinement, now that you're out of prison, do you think that affects your life today?
I think it affects my life today. Soon, all the mandates that was put out, I said I will not adhere to any of those mandates, with me limiting myself to being inside a house for a quarantine or for a martial law, whatever it may be. You know, I'm outside.
I might outside.
Yeah, I'm outside. I might not put myself in immediate, you know, on the spotlight, but I'm not adhering to that because I'm free. You know, I've been home 2 years. I mean, in solitary confinement, like you just said, it could lead to psychosis. The last time I was in solitary confinement was because a CO lied on me and said that I said I was going to punch him in his face while I was in fish scale. I never said that. He was playing with my mail. If you know anything about, people know anything about the mail is a sacred item that you get from a family member, a loved
sense
one.
of its communication.
Sense of communication.
One
So
of the
now
only ways of
you put all the mail.
Not feeling lonely.
Yeah,
you know.
That's
Etiquette,
the hope.
public etiquette between CO and prisoner or inmate or whatever terminology somebody may want to refer to it as, is you put my mail in my hand and you put it wherever it may be, but you make sure you give it to me.
Make sure
and
you
that's
save
everywhere I went. up north during the time that I did. He put it in a public area where anybody could just take your mail and just. But you know, nobody took my mail. But I'm just saying that. Why would you even do that? Like, yo, that's not the way to do it. And then he called the squad. You know, we went in the hallway. Like, he acted like he was gonna do something.
Over abuse of power. You know?
Yeah, because they in Fishkill in 2015 they killed one of the brothers, Black Moon. They killed him. They tried to justify it and say he was on K2 and everything. So they was still living off of that.
That type
off of that energy. Yeah. Like they was beating up old people, beating up young people. So when I got there, abuse of power. So when I got there, 2016, I was on the way out. I was in Fishkill for 2 years. But in that box, it's a real touchy box because it could lead to psychosis being in that box because they had the firing range right next to solitary confinement. So all you hear all day is shooting and bullets and gunshots.
PTSD.
And that's PTSD. So now you like, yo, is that that's a semi-automatic, that's the automatic, and this is what you're hearing every day because that's where they go to work on the firing range.
My gosh, I didn't even take a nap.
That's psychological warfare.
It's psychological warfare, and all the brothers that's there and Fishkill was on their way home. So now you in there, the gunshots, it could do something to your psych if you're not focused.
I get annoyed at the ambulance.
But that's what I had to go through when I was in solitary confinement there. You know, I kept myself sane by reading, going outside, working out, and I wasn't in there for long. You know, when I was on my way home.
That's so crazy that he says that because it's like we're doing that now. We're reading, going outside, working out. We're doing that now to keep ourselves sane. Like.
This is one of the most, I guess, publicized stories out of New York's Rikers Island was the Khalif Browder story about the kid that was accused of stealing the book bag, and he ended up doing, I think, 2.5, 3 years on Rikers, and then 2 years after his release, because of his mental health, because he spent 2 years in the box, he killed himself. He said, "Mom, I can't take it anymore." He hung himself out of the Acee hole in his house, and then once he hung himself
after he got home,
but the cops was baiting him, like they'll park outside his house. He got shot afterwards. He got jumped a few times. He got robbed because they seen him on TV doing interviews, so he thought he had money. So people in his neighborhood was harassing him, and the police was harassing him because he had a lawsuit against the city. And then when he hung himself, a vine started to grow out of the Acee where he killed himself. So he became, metaphysically, you could say that was born after his death. And his mother died from a broken heart because she died from all the stress and all the pain from that, and that caused a lot of policy that's trying to create prison reform within New York City, which ultimately ended up Rikers Island being shut down, or eventually supposed to shut down.
Yeah, they gotta work on that system.
I was a part of that too. When I first came home, I was a part of the Close Rikers Island movement, and I did that also.
And you know what's one of the crazy parts? While I was in City Tech, New York City College of Technology, studying pre-law, my criminal law professor, Judge Domingo, was the judge that proceeded over the Khalif Browder case. Small world. She was a tough cookie. I'll use the word cookie.
I actually worked with his brother though. Akeem Browder. His brother. I actually did some work in the field with him where, during like a little bit after the COVID, when people was protesting in Manhattan. Me back when I was with GMAC, we went to Manhattan, and then it just so happened we came across somebody getting locked up, and it was him.
Wow.
Police was putting him in the back of a station wagon because all he tried to do was walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. And they locked him up for that because the police was on heavy standby. But I ain't gonna front. We went out there when I was a part of GMAC. We went out there. We gained their attention. They
for the people that don't know what GMAC is,
that's a non-profit organization started by Shanduk McFadder. It's an organization that denounces gun violence, and it stands for Gangsters Making Astronomical Community Changes Incorporated. Mm-hmm. So I was I used to work there. I was employed there as a program manager and as a community coordinator right after being a program manager.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to GMAC because they hire a lot of people that just came home from prison, and they help them reform the community that needs it the most.
That's good.
Now let's dive into Kyle because you wanted to know more about Kyle. So Kyle, go ahead.
Tell us about yourself, Kyle.
I'm just a good old Cali boy. You know, I'm from California originally. From
You know
Los
he wants to
Angeles.
move there, should he?
Oh, you want to move to LA?
When I get enough money.
Nice.
When he's ready for
Would you
Hollywood.
Would you prefer LA or New York?
You know, I love them both. I have a lot of family that still
You can
live.
only pick one.
He's
Oh, if I could only pick one,
Yeah.
that makes it a little harder.
You remember actually the same question and you told me the answer, but I'm not
It's
gonna
Cali,
say it.
right?
I'm gonna let you say
I know
it.
it's sorry.
No, yeah, you did ask me the same question. No, if I only had to pick one, I'd pick New York because.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
because look at it this way. I mean, yes, everyone loves the weather in California. Everyone's sunshine. There's no humidity.
You know, ganja
Yeah.
everywhere. They free.
That's in New York too.
Yeah, you know, all those things.
All the perks.
Lots of green crosses everywhere.
See, that's why. Yeah,
They have
She's
purple
New
ones
York
too.
still.
The Green Doctor.
Yeah, the Green Doctor. There you go. Yeah, but you know, for me, I look at it this way: we're all born into whatever circumstances we're born into. We don't have any decision on what family or what circumstances we're born into. But as we become adults, you become 18, you become a legal adult in this country, and you're able to make choices for yourself. And so, shortly after graduating from college, I moved out here to pursue the arts and pursue musical theater and whatnot. But the short answer is I choose New York because that was really that as an adult, that was where I didn't have it. I was just born in LA. That's just where I was born. But I chose to live in New York because that was where my dreams were. That's what I wanted to pursue.
And so it hasn't big on media in the sense of arts. I'll say arts.
Yeah. But it just meant more to me because I had it. I chose it.
You had a choice.
I had a choice.
When he chose it was the city, the Big Apple, the city that don't sleep. Wow. Times changed.
So Kyle said something that I want to focus in on. He was like how we don't pick which family we're born into or how we're born, period. It's almost like a lottery in a sense. And they said that a lot of people, to be born in America is a lottery because you're born into one of the richest countries in the world with the most opportunity.
Supposed to be a proud American.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about
Either you born here or fish
you don't have to worry about being, I guess, what's the word, crucified because of your religion, like certain countries, China for example. You don't have to worry about housing and welfare because America provides that. There's some countries that don't have welfare, that don't have social services, that don't have shelters for individuals. If you're poor, you're just poor. You just live on the street. And you're done.
Yep.
There's countries like that. So America has a lot of security, which we all pay dearly for, and it was even more implemented after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, which is even more security. But they say this is to protect you. It was a conversation between Jay-Z, Warren Buffett, and the creator of Forbes magazine where they sat down and
Casey made it big.
where they was talking about luck, and Warren Buffett was
I
like,
remember that one.
Okay, good.
On YouTube, yeah.
and Warren Buffett was like, he was lucky to be born at a certain time, to be born in America, and to be born white, and to be born a white man. He was saying that if he was not born white during that time, then he would have to face certain racial
slurs or
racial inequalities, because I believe Warren Buffett was born in the 50s or the 40s.
I think he's pretty old. Yeah,
I
like
think it's the
40s
40s.
or 50s, probably the 40s.
Exactly. So if he was black, he wouldn't have much rights. If he was born a woman, he wouldn't have much rights. If he was born outside of America, he wouldn't have the same opportunities. He said he had applied to go to Harvard. He didn't get into Harvard. He got into Columbia and was able to study under someone that taught him more about finances and stocks and investment. So he was like, a lot of different things happened to put him into position, to put him where he's at, in order for him to reach that certain level where he's at. And he said it had to take certain luck, almost like a lottery. Like this is what you was born into, and this is what you could do after that. Just like his children was born into the lottery because they benefit under everything that comes after him. Similar to like the Waltons, the people that own Walmart. I think it's 4 of them. I think it's 3 guys, 1 girl.
Not too sure about that.
Or 2 girls, 1 guy.
I think it's 1 girl. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's at least 1 girl, but I don't know if it's three brothers or 2 brothers. But they were born, like I read up on their father's story. Their father basically, he bought like, let's say for example, there's a 99-cent store on the block, right? He gets a bunch of his father-in-law, I believe, gave him the money. Either his father-in-law or or uncle, I believe his father-in-law gave him, I think, 50,000 or something, or 100,000.
Yeah,
which back then 50,000 is probably like 100 and something thousand now because of inflation. So he took that and then he bought one store. When that store started doing good, I believe like his lease was up, so the store further down in the town was going up for sale, and then
that's luck right there.
He bought it out, and then he started creating blockchains like different places, and then he just franchised it, and you know, and that's how they build wealth, like buying things for cheap and then selling them in bulk. So when people think that so when you buy in bulk, you think I'm saving money, but really it's cheaper for them that owns the company. So that's how he built wealth over time, and then pass it on to his family members. And that's one of the things that unfortunately people of color, we suffer from, because it's hard for us to build financial freedom and wealth and generational wealth. One, because we faced a lot of disparities in America, unfortunately, because of the systematic racism.
I think it's coming down to just family now.
Family,
honestly, this doesn't even matter. Color, I feel like they're getting after. There's always a group of people that's down in the sense of there's a group of people that's up. It's just like they keep it close within them. They don't share the wealth in a sense.
That's the caste system, I believe.
And
where it's like a pyramid, the rich people at the top.
I feel like it's always been that pyramid, you know, in the sense of there's a group of people. It's kind of like the mafia, those movies where it's just that 15 people at the table, their families is good, but the whole entire village of, you know, regular individuals are afraid in the sense of, you know, don't know when they're going to take their last breath and stuff like that.
But if we keep it in the mafia, remember Don Corleone was like, you owe me a favor. I might not cash in today or tomorrow, but eventually I'm going to come and cash in that favor. Let's apply that favor to money. Then we can apply that to debt, and with debt comes interest, and sometimes you stuck underneath that debt and you forever owe, and if you forever owe someone, that person can never go broke because you owed them.
One book I like, I don't know if y'all read it, The Alchemist.
That's a good book.
Yeah, The Alchemist. I feel like, you know, some deals are bigger than, you know, just the exchange of, you know, money and water, like debt. I feel like that is more of a spiritual thing. It just brings you down spiritually. If you don't start paying with money, it starts kind of in a way bringing your spirit down. Like you start paying some way, shape, or form. Some energy you're giving out back.
But what is money? Money's currency. What does currency create? Power and energy.
So that's why debt is really important to watch out for. Like,
and currency does what? It circulates. It exchanges hands. And that's what connects you to the next person. I walked into the store, I gave him a card electronically, I exchanged currency, we connected, and I got water back.
Income, but just from my understanding is the only bad thing about the YouTube version of making income is you gotta, you know, you see these people that are making like new videos like every day, and if they stop making new videos for like a month, then they don't get more new views for those
Yeah,
videos.
views die.
And so, yeah, exactly. And people can lose interest in our.
You gotta build a lot of rep.
Yeah, and you just got to keep it going. And so the only bad thing is that you have kind of made a job for yourself. You're kind of like
become a slave to YouTube in a sense.
a little bit. Yeah, because you have to constantly keep pumping out new content, or else the money might start drying up.
Yeah.
People are committed to it. I mean, some people don't work a job 9 to 5. They just say, I work for YouTube.
That's work 24/7.
But that's like any small business, any business that you own. You basically gotta be there all the time.
Yeah.
If you're not there, then the business crumbles.
You know.
America's really on media. Everything is media. YouTube, TikTok, all of that stuff is just media, you know?
Yeah, and I think people are even more doing that than people were already doing that a lot before, but I think even more so now because coronavirus.
Oh yeah.
People have to feel like they need to social distance even more, especially like March and April and like those first couple of months.
Yeah.
And so it felt like for a lot of
was empty.
Yeah, streets are empty, right? Which is crazy to say for New York City.
Yeah.
Even Times Square was
Crazy.
even
The
Times
city
Square.
that's
Crazy to say for
I
New
never
York.
thought it would have been
I like how
city.
you say that. Crazy to say for New York.
Yeah.
I ain't think New York could ever be empty. Like,
Yeah.
that's
It was a
amazing.
ghost
In
town.
Manhattan, you know what's crazy? A lot of people in Manhattan are trying to move out of Manhattan.
Yeah, they said
To Long Island and other places.
Yeah. I read the article the other day that most of the rich, like the super rich in New York, they left New York, and they've left New York since Corona started, and most of them went to the Hamptons, Long
They
Island,
went far.
or they went to other states. And it got to the point where the governor Cuomo said he offered to buy them a drink if they come back.
Oh.
That's gonna
To
fix
New
all
York.
their problems.
Yeah, but
I don't think the drink
There's
was
a
doing
on
nothing.
Corona. Like,
but people have been drinking a lot lately.
Yeah. No, but my
Remember,
lady, she
drinking
leaving
is
New York to
essential
move to
business.
Jersey. My lady doing that right now, September.
Thinking about moving to Jersey.
Yeah, she already bought the house. She just waiting for the final paperwork to get finalized. And
A lot of people done with New York. A lot of people.
That's a fact.
I'm kind of
scary.
done with New York.
Because
I'm
every
dumb.
time something happens,
thinking
they
of
always
Jersey.
hit New York first.
Yeah.
They always hit New York first, and in New York they make it so hard to like actually own a gun legally, and most people like
Most of our problems are bigger than guns now. I think
Yeah,
about it.
of
We
course.
got terrorists. We got now COVID. So
But then look at it this way: if it does fall into anarchy and things do get crazy, most people in New York don't own a gun legally. So how are you going to defend yourself against this?
Yeah.
Unless if you in Jersey, all you need is a Jersey address and a Jersey
Thank
license,
you
and
for
you get your
reminding me of
gun.
my dream of getting a boat. Gotta get a boat quicker.
It's so difficult getting things in New York. Everything's
Just going on the water,
expensive.
man. That's
You
A
want
rich guy did that actually.
it makes sense, man.
He stayed on his
Think about
yacht during the whole COVID. He was like, "This is what you call social distance."
That is social
it.
business.
You gotta disappear on people, man.
Yeah.
It's
You
just-
gotta afford to really be with a social
no
business
train
like
could
that.
get you here.
Facts.
Chilling in the ocean, chilling in the harbor.
Just surfing, you know.
Chilling.
That's a great time.
Got a
right there.
bunch of food in the sea. Just be patient. Just
So, what do you guys think of the new normal, and how would we return back to how we were? Let's say
you
a
think
year
we're going
ago?
back?
I don't think we're going back, so that's not.
That's the big question right there. I don't think we're going back for a little while.
For like
Little?
what, years,
I don't know.
Yeah.
months? Next year maybe we go back to
I
normal.
think it's just gonna extend to the point where it's like
I
the mass is here to stay.
Personally, it upsets me. I'm not gonna
People gonna be back in the public and everything.
Hold
They
on. He said it upsets him personally. Why?
Because I'm not a fan of the mask, man. I don't want to get on it too much, but we had Febreze here, EMT guy, and he even said, the nurse masses aren't really gonna save you from anything.
You mean the surgical mask?
Yeah, the surgical masses. And
The bandanas?
one thing that upsets me about the media, we talk about all the time. They don't talk about working out and being healthy
They
physically.
don't. Why would they
they
tell
don't
you
talk
that?
about that.
They never. I have not heard. My
They tell you
job,
go to the
they got
doctor.
the news on 24/7, and I have not heard them say,
Mhm.
"Go outside for a run."
They tell you go to the doctor and take that vaccine.
They always tell you go to the doctor, and it's like, how long are you gonna just play the people, like, just for this money? And all I can think about is, dang, we must owe China a lot. we got to hold them.
So what do you think about Trump always calling out China, saying that it's China that caused the virus? Even recently when he signed the executive
The
order,
virus is the money that we owe them.
Well, they don't want to.
The debt we owe. Like
recently
They don't want to pay
gotta
us.
shut down the city and start collecting. Like
recently Donald Trump signed an executive order extending the unemployment. I guess it was 600 plus. Now it's
Now a lot of
400.
people, yeah.
Now it's 400. No, I'm talking about the money that they add on top of the regular because of
They
so
giving
many.
them more money?
The PP.
Nah, they gotta give a
pandemic
second
universal
stimulus check
assistance.
already.
They had an additional 400 because they stopped at 600 and then people were complaining they had an additional 400 because there's so much people unemployed right now in America and so much small businesses have closed, unfortunately.
Because if you cut out the people, how
second
people are
stimulus-
supposed to make money? And now it's just coming down to the internet, you know?
That's why they gotta give us the second stimulus check.
Maybe. But during the time when he was signing the executive order on TV, he said, I'm going to sign this order and give the American people an extra 400 because of the terrible virus that China sent to us.
He keeps
terrible virus. So I'm here to help because the Democrats were trying to add a bunch of foolishness and I said, no, America needs money now. So I'm sending the check. I signed the paper. Look.
How does
and a big black Sharpie.
who writes this guy's script? You know, there's a writer for the presidents too. And it's like, who writes this?
Usually
Like,
they have a script writer.
yeah, that's like how?
He's like, I'm not reading this. I can
They
tell."
always prepared just for that.
I can't, man. I can't.
So what do you guys think about that? Do you think the extra 400 and the extra stimulus is a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I think it's a good thing because lately I've been seeing people, they've been using the money. I mean, some people use it for the good. Some people have been using it to, have fun, get the B&Bs, get the drinks,
People
go
still
to
partying.
go to go to DR and get, plastic surgery.
He went to a whole nother level.
Yeah, bro.
He's like, they've been starting since
What? I see the couple. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
You was not like this before. Be like, yeah.
COVID
That
changed
600 plus 600 been doing them justice. They just been saving it.
I gotta say, I don't like it too much because, lately they have these business loans, and being in the bank, I know a lot of people are reaching for these business loans, and the scary thing about the business loan, I was talking to my dad about this, is you got to pay it back,
Most people don't plan on doing so.
But the worst part about it is because they hear that it's so much money, up to 150K. People are like, what?
Is it true that you don't gotta pay back the first 10,000? Because that's what
They give you a time limit, man. Every deal is always, to a certain time.
You don't got to pay off the first 10,000.
See what I'm saying? But that's not the
But no, I just want to make sure that's what you're saying.
But the scarier part is that, a lot of people don't know what to do. What are you going to do with 150,000? What are you going to do with 10,000 in the sense of people aren't thinking about what they're going to do with it. They just want it in their hands. And
the other day I seen some hood dude back out the Lambo truck. I was like, whoa.
The Corona checks been acting different, man.
And then what are you going to do after that? You got to pay it back. And, we was just talking about how debt, brings down your soul. So imagine if you owe 150,000 now.
Yeah. Some people say you only live once.
And then it's good. No. You live every day.
They be like, oh, I spend it now. I worry about the consequences later.
You live every day, man. That's that YOLO thing I hate.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Are these loans for personal individuals or are they strictly for businesses?
They're for businesses. But here's the trick. People are creating, businesses in their own name or whatever,
Shout to Jeremiah the prophet. I see you, bro.
They're creating businesses with, they're creating businesses quick just to get, what they're missing though is, the business that you create still follows your social, And just because you get a new social don't mean that your old social is forgotten about. They still know
you put the business on the EIN number.
Yeah, but to get the EIN, you got to use your old social.
Yeah, but I think what people's doing is just filing bankruptcy under the company and open up a new one.
But you still either way. That money you're gonna squander, like you said.
They file
buying new
bankruptcy,
titties, new butts, whatever they do, Lambo trucks, whatever. That money is gonna squander. Everything you get is gonna depreciate, and then now you can't get another bank account.
That's what a lot of big companies do. Like they file Chapter 11 or Chapter 13, and then sometimes they gotta sell away all the assets. Like say for example, we were to file bankruptcy, we'd have to sell all of this and pay our creditors, and then we're like, yo, we have no more money left. That's it. And then we do a structured deal with the creditors where we can only pay a certain amount, and then when it goes away, and then we open up a new company under a new name.
That's because you got money to open up a new company. Those other people open their company with the loan. So after they default, they don't got another loan they could get.
You keep some of the money from the original loan so you can start up the next company.
Those people don't do that.
You're not supposed to spend it all.
You know, my own sister, got, I'll say some money, and she's telling me to hold the money because she knows she gonna spend it if she has it. It's just some people can't. Once you get the money, some people just can't help but think, I got it.
Of course.
Use it.
Of course.
Yeah.
You were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I think the pandemic relief is good and it is helpful because regular unemployment's it's like $441 or something, which
can't pay nothing
in New York City. Yeah, it doesn't go too far. If you are really a spendthrift, right? If you really are thrifty with your money, you could probably save enough of that, sock it enough away, because it's like $1,700 something a month, right? And once you get all of it for the month, so that's it's enough to maybe like pay your rent or something. Yeah, it's enough to survive. But yeah, it's difficult. And if you have one little emergency pop up, if you have one little thing you didn't account for, it's not hard.
My car just it could be a tire and that hurts.
right. Only so I think the PUA, the pandemic relief, is definitely a good thing. However, I think this is a time that people really need to be really evaluating their financial situation and really just be hustling. You got to be hustling, either learning a new skill set or because the hospitality industry has been pretty much wrecked. Even
it's finito for a while.
Airbnb took hit.
Airbnb,
outside dining now in the little booths.
Things are
right. And if you're a
for the brunch is nice though.
That's true. For
the summertime, it's nice. Come winter time, no one's gonna want to sit outside.
Nobody. Go home and eat your food.
I know. But anyway, I think this is a time that people really need to hustle, and they really need to be building themselves up, either in a new skill set, a new business, something to secure better. Because the relief this financial relief isn't gonna last forever. And when it stops, what are you gonna do? This is the time. Hey, if you're getting that financial relief, great, but don't just spend that money and not be doing anything.
A lot of people not paying rent. You don't gotta pay for the place you live, or
you owe them. You gotta pay them eventually.
You gotta pay them, but you're given the opportunity to build up.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's like you said, it's extra hustle time. And I'm sorry to say, it's honestly gonna be a lot of online hustle. Like you gotta find a way to do something you love online and convince people that
you gotta become a visual worker.
An essential worker.
Visual worker, essential.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the compensation for the people that was essential workers during the first 3 phases of the COVID. They said that people would be compensated. So I was working during that time. So I'm like, all right, is it extra $13 an hour or what? Like
they lied to you because
big time.
They were supposed to be giving you the money because the way they do it at my job is we still get out every 2-week check, but every other week we get half of our 2-week check as hazardous pay. So it's like half out check, full check, half out check, full check. What? And it's been that way since I think March. We've been getting that.
What? I need to go talk to the bank. This is hazardous. I gotta see people every day. I'm in danger.
My life's in danger. I need all that money I ain't see yet.
And the other thing too, I'll just say too, we have to be careful. I'm not saying this will definitely happen, but it's good to be cognizant, and you mentioned inflation before. We have to be careful also, because if the government's giving out all this free money, there's a chance that when things start to stabilize again and more people are getting jobs again, that it might cause maybe not a drastic hyperinflation, but a little bit of hyperinflation of just government giving so much, because you're basically
that fee getting,
they don't want to equal out everybody.
Yeah, because you're getting this money, but you're not rendering, because a job pays you because you're rendering a service or helping sell a product, or you're rendering some kind of a service. But if you're just getting money and there's no service or product being rendered to a customer or something of that nature,
they're losing money in a sense.
Yeah, and so and again, I'm not saying for sure that'll happen, but like if you look at after World War I, right, Germany got into such a bad place that they were in such a place of hyperinflation that their money was like basically worthless. So like you could barely do anything with it. And I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen here, and certainly not to that level.
To think about,
but it's something to think about. And potentially in
that time will come.
Yeah, and potentially you could see the money. Again, I'm not like an expert as far as my study of inflation or whatever, but I'm just saying it's something to be wary of. That you want to just make sure you're in a secure financial situation, because in a year from now, we might see prices of everything start to radically.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They give me all this money.
But even what's his name? When they put the what's that thing called? The $15 an hour, the minimum wage. When minimum wage went to $15 an hour, car washes used to be $12. Now a car wash is $22 now.
That is actually something that's scary.
So
too.
everything went more expensive. And the other day I went to the car wash. The guy told me, "Yo, it's $24, but I'm giving you $2 off because you got TLC plates." And I was like, "Yo, how come it's $22? I remember when it was $12. He said, "How could it still be $12? We gotta pay workers $15 an hour. Everything had to go up." And I'm like, "Yeah, you think paying people more is good, but you gotta, in order to pay people more, you have to spend more." That's why currency has to continue to flow. It's like the more currency you need, the more energy you have to take out. So it's like everything costs us more, and inflation is like every 6 months, right?
Yeah, every 6 months, inflation kicks in and increases the cost of everything else around you.
Look at the MTA. It used to be a couple coins just to get on the MTA.
Yeah. Some jobs give what's called a COLA, not Pepsi or Sprite. COLA, cost of living adjustment, which means that like based on how things around you, the price of things around you, your job's gonna give you an extra 50 cents or $1 an hour for you to be able to afford to still come to work.
Just the minimum, just enough to survive, because that's what America was always about, just providing enough to survive.
Unless you got other people under you that you're surviving off of.
AKA, the family on top of the pyramid.
That's a fact. The general wealth chain.
So how do you guys think that we can change that in the future? Like as individuals, let's go around the table. What can we do as individuals to build a better future for our families so that they don't have to struggle like the previous generations?
Well, I think what we really need to do is like create our own businesses. We create our own businesses because we always hear the stories of how Donald Trump got his wealth, how all these other people, and it's always go back to one thing. Their parents or like some family member just send majority of their money to their children or nephews, whoever, just for the future. Because they see some type of light in them that they could use it with, so they just, all right, I'm going to give you this company and this is what you're going to do, and then you're just going to create general wealth from there. And if you just listen, which is a key factor, then the general wealth will come. Because, I mean, that's the best way to do it, because it all starts with the family. It always starts with the family.
Next, you want to go?
Yeah, I think generational wealth, like they say in other communities, like, you say the Jewish community, the Asian community, the dollar circulates more frequently than it does in the black community. Longer. So I think that we have to start spending within our own much more at a much greater frequency. And, there's ways of, we have to work on economic development, financial development, and just start doing for each other even more.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was definitely a good point. You hear a lot more about, hey, come and support black-owned businesses and things like that, and come spend your dollars. Don't spend it over here. You can actually support someone else who's in that community. So I hear you on that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, definitely. The other thing too, I also agree with you too, Alex, that definitely, I think getting more and more people into entrepreneurship, because I think that's really I think that's really the true American dream, right? A job is typically just over broke, like you're just kind of giving you just enough money to pay your bills and whatnot, but it's not really usually
just enough to come back.
Yeah, just enough to come back. Exactly. It's not usually enough to have like an overabundance or to really kind of pursue the larger dreams or aspirations that you have for you and your family.
Yeah. You can't take no trips.
Right. It's just like kind of just enough money to basically survive, and maybe you can take 1-2 vacations a year, 2 weeks paid vacation, right?
That's what they give us, right?
If you're lucky to get those benefits.
Yeah, if you're lucky to get that. So I think that's one big thing for sure is encouraging people to for more entrepreneurship, because again, I think that's the real American dream, is to own your own business and
have your own,
Yeah,
that's what was happening. A lot of entrepreneurs was doing great, and then COVID came and said it's over for all of that.
Yeah, well, you also have to you also part of business though is you got to be like up with the times. If you're stuck.
Very valid, sorry.
If you're stuck in an industrial age business model, and we now live in the information age, and you're still back in the 19th century, we've moved on to the 20th century, and if that's your only model is a physical model, you're already like behind the 8 ball. You know what I'm saying? You gotta step up to the plate and get with the times. We're in 2020 now. Yeah. That's fine if you want to have a physical store, whatever, but you gotta have a website. You gotta have some sort of. Hey, we'll do if you have a bakery.
You gotta get an app now from getting closer.
Yeah, get an app.
We do deliveries.
Yeah,
because if you ain't doing deliveries right now,
Amazon changed the delivery game.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at like a lot of small businesses have suffered, and even some big businesses have suffered as well. I believe Neiman Marcus was gonna go out of business, but I think they got bailed out or something like that. That's what I heard at least.
Modell's is out, so
yeah, Modell's. Yeah, there you go. So even big businesses are hurt, but certainly for a lot of small businesses, they just they were like mom and pop shops, and I feel for them, because sometimes those are like integral parts of the community. Is like, we used to always go down over here to whatever
family type vibe,
Yeah, family type vibe.
Yeah,
and a lot.
We just need some nice food to eat after this great session.
For sure. And so, but then you look at information age businesses like Amazon, and they're killing it. Come on, like everybody was ordering from Amazon during COVID, like this. I mean, already.
The 2-day shipping is like, whoa.
And they were like the only businesses that was,
reliable.
Amazon, Uber, in the sense of those self-work businesses.
All online businesses.
Yeah, online is the new game.
In my opinion, it's gonna be, it's back to creating a society within society. I feel like we gotta start taking control of ourselves or our people or the people around us, in the sense of putting them in a better mindset. Because I feel like when you try to change the world, that's a big task. First you gotta change the people around you. First you gotta work with the people around you. So I feel like creating a society within society is the first step. Before we could take on this mass world. Because if you think about it, what we're up against is a family, in a sense of there's a family of people who got these secrets and plans and manipulation techniques, so we got to create our own family first, in a sense of that could combat their family
and keep that tradition going.
In a sense of keep it going, in a sense of keep it to us, because one thing I gotta say is this is just being honest, they mixed up the colors and everything. Like, I don't know if people could be like 1% white, 1% black, all these, in a sense that that's not really the issue anymore. They keep making us fight over colors, but like you said, it's a new age. It's kind of like that's not even something we can fight about. We can't really know who's half